Never seen a smile so big on my little old lady's face until I tell her I'm going fishing all weekend. Pack up all of my bacon, I make plans for 7:45, and I swing around, pick up my date for the weekend. Some reason she seems to please when I'm leaving. There's something I'm missing when I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing. When I'm gone fishing.
Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Well, hopefully everyone can hear me and is joining us this Monday. I want to thank everyone that is. It is Thanksgiving Monday of Canadian Thanksgiving weekend. Honored as always to have all of you here, and I love just showing off some of these incredible edits that our lads do. Walter and Steve do some fantastic work. Keep it up, boys. That's all I can say. They have taken they've basically taken the helm and run with it, and we are some lucky that they have. They continue to pump out a whole bunch of stuff for us, you and the rest of the community. So keep up the great work, you two. Love what you do. Again, please put it in the inbox. It makes it so much easier for us to get the okay to use your pick, to identify who's in the pick, what you want identified in the pick, and maybe there's a shout out from a sponsor or to a sponsor that you want as well. Add all that. Give us as much information as you possibly can. Keep it within 50 words or less. No, I better say 50 words, because I was going to say 1,000, but Stephen Walt would kill me if I said that. As always, again, thank you for joining us, especially tonight because it is Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody's had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Lots has gone on. Obviously, if you've been watching the news, especially when it comes to fishing, I want to talk more about the weather first of all, because we have seen some incredible weather, but it looks like things are going to change. So Jay in his segment is going to talk a little bit about boat safety and water safety as the waters begin to cool. So stay tuned to that. Obviously, we are going to be doing an interview with Cooper when he gets here. He's just en route to wherever it is he's going, and then hopefully we can get him via his phone or laptop. But stay tuned to that. In Jim's segment, we'll be talking to the one and only Cooper Gallant, who managed to qualify. And from what we were just saying backstage, Cooper is the first Canadian to actually qualify for the Elite Series. So good for you, Coop. As we will discuss, lots of great memories of them growing up and a journey that has brought them to where they are now. But I'll tell you, nobody is more humble than Danny and Coop in regards to this accomplishment, and we look forward to talking to them. Obviously, this fishing scandal is still going on. We don't really want to discuss the details or too much about the individuals involved, but just to see the scope of where this has reached. I know everybody knows I love college football, and I got sent this. If you don't know what this is, College Game Day, and it is usually on ESPN. But as you can see in the background, we got weights and fish. So it managed to make it. There I am watching college football, and this gets sent to me, and I'll tell you, there's there's no end to where this is going to end up. I don't even know what the latest is. I do believe that the anglers have been charged. Of what, I have no idea. And to be honest with you, it's really none of my business. I see a lot of people making it their business. What has happened is between the directors, the anglers involved in the tournament, the anglers in the tournament trail, and all the other tournaments that they have competed in. This is a big mess. It's only going to get messier. And I don't know. I'm glad CFN somehow has nothing to do with it. And we've just been able to discuss it and bring some of you folks up to date with what's going on. Hello, Adele. What's up, Richard? Rob's in the house. Walter's there. How you doing? Joe Moore. Yeah, baby. Tony, you are here. And I know why you're here, Tony. And I'm sure you're a lot like the rest who are going to be the ones who did what we asked. And yes, it is Thanksgiving, so we are in the giving mood. So even if you got it close, I know I was trying to say if it had to be exact, but upon further review with my colleagues Walter and Steve, it was brought to my attention that we'll let some of the folks that were close also qualify as well. So this is what they are going to be competing for. We will play this at the end of the segment. At the end of the live, we will announce the winner, courtesy of Steve Shaw. It is a Shimano Flash. So almost that exact lure right there. In fact, it pretty much is the exact lure that you just saw. You can see it shimmering there in the shadows. Incredible technology, very, very detailed technology, but quite easy. I will say. I mean, whoever came up with this idea, brilliant, but it looks so easy to design, even though there's a lot of components involved. It was just like, oh, why didn't I think of that when you see it? But good for the folks at Shimano. They continue to pump out incredible stuff, and we are thankful as anglers that they continue to do so. Bob's here. How you doing, Bob? Jeanette, always a pleasure to see you. Bill Landry. Yeah, I hate the time. Yeah, I know the time difference. It does. It sucks. So some of you are probably sitting down for dinner. So hopefully you're having turkey. Hopefully the family's together, and we really appreciate, as I said, you spending time. Another thing that I really appreciate, of course, was all the birthday messages that I received. I can't thank you folks enough for all of that. It means the world when you take the time to think of somebody, and I wish I had the time to do a better job. But it really meant a lot to get all of those birthday wishes. And I have to play one that was really near and dear to my heart that some people took some time to put together. So here's one, and a big shout out. Thank you to the Barnucz family.
Happy birthday, Scotty. Best wishes from the Barnucz family. Have a good one, buddy. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby, indeed. And as I said, I can't thank the Barnucz family enough for all of their participation, support, and just hard work when it comes to building this community. And again, I'm thankful always for what we have here at CFN. And Tristan Jarrett had an article that was posted. Mike Consul tagged me in it. She said some very nice words about the CFN fish off and how it took her out of her comfort zone. So we're very thankful of folks that are taking the time to say some nice things, because you know what, this world is, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's my old age, I don't know, but it seems like it's getting a little uglier day after day. So when people take the time to go on our page and see a wonderful fish and lay a comment that is positive, that pats that person on the back, it means the world. That's what it's all about. It's just about building people up, not ripping them apart. And we've seen enough of that, I'll tell you, over the years. So we're still waiting for our buddy Coop. I know he is feverishly trying to find Wi-Fi or at least some kind of cellular coverage. I'm not exactly sure what part of the world he's in right now, but I do know he's down in the States, and I'm sure he's on his way to go fishing. But in the meantime, let's bring in the one and only, and basically our head guru, Big Jim McLaughlin. And here's our pump-up song. Love this pump-up song. We're going to be hearing from Jim right after this. There he is, the one and only Big Jim McLaughlin.
When I see that rod bend, I just freak.
Absolutely. So everybody wants to know how is Lacey?
Oh, she's wonderful. She's out there giving me the dirty stink eye.
Oh yeah.
She's the granddaughters were here. 3 of the granddaughters were here Saturday.
Yeah.
She's upside down with the legs up, getting her belly rubbed. She's never had that before. She's from a kennel.
Wow.
And she's loving it here. She's got the run of the place. I got them gonna put a little piece of fence in tomorrow morning at the end of the house here so she can be outside. She loves to run, eh? Like I told you, she went around half the town in like 2 minutes. We thought she was up by the post office, and she was at the far side of the park. And the guy up by the Legion said to me, "Is that your dog, your new dog?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "He went by here." He said, "I could barely see it. It went so fast."
Wow.
Hey, what is Steve Shaw watching?
Steve is, he's in the house.
Okay, I'm going to see his flash boost, and I'm going to raise him on my bet.
Oh!
And whoever wins will get this too, okay?
Woo! Yeah, baby. That's awesome. Well, Jim, I know we said it at the beginning and at the outset, but happy Thanksgiving to the entire McLaughlin clan. Hope everybody settled in nicely. And
you know what Tammy and I had for Thanksgiving?
What's that?
You know what we had for Thanksgiving?
No.
Frozen pizza.
Yay! Who doesn't like frozen pizza?
I told her I wanted hot dogs. She looked at me and shook her head. She said, "I'm not doing that." So.
You know, I was beginning to wonder what was going on. I thought maybe you guys were holding out on your contracts because.
Oh no! The check hasn't appeared
live, and I'm like, where are the lads? So I'm thinking, is WFN reporting any contract holdouts? But we got you away from fishing. I know Jay
I smelled like pike. Oh. I smelled like bass. Just that when I came up, it got dark, and I thought, I don't know what time it gets dark now. I looked at my phone, and it was 6:59. So I just barely made it up here in time. Then I get up here and I started scrounging through an old walleye tackle box when I was sitting here, right?
Yeah.
And remember I was telling you about the way you could leave a jig. Well, here's one of the ones that I used to keep in my walleye box. So when if that's 26 ounces. So if the fish had 2 or 3 of these, that's legit. That's a legit bait. If you couldn't get it out of the fish's throat, I'll put it over here.
Yeah, let's put it over there, Jim. Yeah.
What happens to fluorocarbon when it breaks down? That's 180-pound test.
Holy smokes! And what
that's
exactly?
You can't chew through it.
I was just going to ask you, what toothy critter are we trying to jig up from the depths with that?
Well, this was just for fun, but this is actually it was really funny. I was out with Mark Thorpe one day. I
Yeah.
had cut off about 5 yards of line, and I said, I'm going to put that on the whippersnipper. And I brought it home, and I used a piece of it to hang it on this. But that's what it looks like when it starts to go.
Wow.
So if their teeth do cut a part of it, it just peels off, eh? And this is all. See the way it fractures?
So
That's
fluorocarbon,
see
it's not wound, or is it, Jim? Is it like linear in terms of its strength?
Yeah, I don't know the real thing behind it. I know that years ago there was the silver thread.
Yeah.
The line. It was made of a series of little things that took the stretch out of it, and they were like this. That's what the molecules or whatever they were like.
Okay.
So they would fit into each other in the line like this.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So the strength and the lack of stretch and everything was absolutely incredible. Because I fished with that line for the last few years that I actually fished at tournaments. I probably won $150,000 with that line. So it's kind of cool. But no, just a little thing there. But yeah, I was down the back. It was pretty wild. Right at dark, I lifted the chatterbait out of the water, and something just blew into the seawall. Trying to get it, but I got bit off. Then I got 2 or 3 little bass on a little belly spinner.
Nice.
We had to use a little lure. I was looking for those crappies again.
Yeah.
So I went down with one of the little sneaky spins with one of Jamie's little. I don't even know if I have any in the drawer here, but I think he calls it a spike.
Okay.
And I went down with one of those on it. And of course, I'm catching 12-inch bass on it. I put a chatterbait on, you start catching 3-pounders.
Wow. Go figure. Well, I have to say, as amazed as I am at what you're telling me, I'm also amazed. Well, I guess I shouldn't be amazed, but it's amazing to me how quickly it's happening for this young lad. And I'm happy to say that I see him in the lobby here. So we're going to be getting to him real soon. But, Jim, you mentioned before we went to live, him and his brother were down your neck of the woods, and
that was Danny, not his dad.
Oh, that was brother. It was Danny. Okay, yeah. And they were down, doing some practicing, and managed to cut a lawn or 3 in the neighborhood in order to build a bit
about that. They come to the house for dinner. I took them to show them deer, and those 2 kids were so pumped.
Yeah,
I think they were like 15 at the time.
Yeah, and
they were like, one of those things that you wind up in a garage for the door and you got to watch it doesn't come undone.
Yeah.
Because it unwind. That's what they were like. You could just feel it in them, eh?
Yeah.
And it was so funny. They actually, for 3 days, they stood on the shore in Rideau Ferry and fished off the shore. Like they weren't back in the hotel rooms drinking beer and, maybe they do that now. I don't know. They're men now. But like these kids were just so disciplined and so focused at what they wanted to do. And then I told him about a couple of little weed lines and things that he had, and he could have some input with the boater. The first one they went to, Cooper caught one. It was 4.5 pounds.
Nice.
So it was just great. But they fished underneath that bridge at Rideau Ferry for 3 days. That was their practice.
And it's amazing to me how humble the man is. First time I ever met him, I was like, You're a tournament pro? Like you're on the tournament trail? You don't seem angry. You don't seem, full of yourself. You'd like, not to say that every tournament angler is like that, but this young lad, you could tell
What do you mean? You saying something about tournament angler?
You could tell he was full of piss and vinegar, and he, as you said, had focus, but very, very humble. And the one thing that strikes me about Cooper is what a gentleman he is. He is a true classy individual, and he's doing nothing but.
Yeah, I do anything for those kids. Like when they won the first thing that they won here in Canada that was kind of big was the FLW Canadian thing, and they won it while Renegade was having the classic here, and they came in. Him and Danny came and slept at the house here one night. At the last minute, they got soaked and they were sleeping in the back of the truck and everything else. And I'm talking to them, and I said, "Well, why don't you come over to the house, eh?" About 30 seconds later, they knocked on the door. I think they were already here, but anyway. John often has the snicker about that, but there's another guy. Dave spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
And done stuff with them, but they've been here so often, and then they went out and they won that tournament, and it's just they've put in their time. They've done it right.
100%. I was talking to
And Danny has to go to work all week and knock in nails. He's a framer.
Good for him.
Too. So, and he's hanging right in with him. I think Jason was telling us he's going down to the Nationals there somewhere in the southern states at the end of the month or something. And he gets like an opportunity to go to the Bassmaster Classic too. So could you imagine those two guys together there? It'd be mind blowing for them.
Yeah, 100%.
All your life, like I had the see. You got to remember when I was fishing, it was before it really took off in the States. Canadians going to the States, people didn't go. Like I think I was the first person to fish a BASS tournament from Canada, and that was in 1987.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, Jim. Well,
and Ray Scott, God bless him, he's gone. They just had a big thing for him.
Yeah.
Celebration of Life there down in Memphis, and he treated me like gold.
Wow.
He treated me, but he knew it was going to come from up here, and I mean, look how big Bassmasters is up here with the clubs, and it's still small compared to the States.
Yeah.
But there's 280 million people or something in the States.
Amen.
There's 38 or 40 here or something. So it's
bit of a difference.
All relative. Yep.
Well, let's bring the man of the hour on,
awesome.
and we'll get right to him right after this little video.
Won this event 2 years ago. Been to the Coastal Series Championship. Transfer takes the lead. Wow, you're going back to the Coastal Series Championship. That's a giant. And now I'm raging like a fire burning up through everything I see. And it goes something like, I'm victorious. It's my time. There's no stopping this, 'cause I was born for this. I do it for the glory. Yes. When all is left is dark. They'll remember. Oh, they'll remember. I do it for the glory. I do it for the glory. I do it for the glory.
Here he is, the one and only Cooper Gallant. Hopefully he can hear us.
I can hear you guys. I'm just in my truck right now. Sorry about the lighting. I just rolled into Merle's Inlet. I'm hanging out here for a couple days.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be doing some saltwater fishing, I'm assuming, Coop?
Yeah. How have you guys been? Good?
Awesome.
I was just catching pike and bass off the back wall here.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, they were at it tonight.
So, Coop, it's pretty obvious.
What's that?
Top water, Jim?
No, I got a chatterbait, and I got bit off for my favorite Macbeth. So,
so Coop, it's obvious that you've got a thing for fishing, and it doesn't matter where it takes place or what fish we're targeting. You got a thing for fishing, much like the rest of us do, but more so than that, dude. I have to say, and that's why I took that video. I know it's a couple years old, but I love some of the videos that you and your team have put together. We're seeing, the road trip with Moose, our buddy Moose, involved, and all that's involved with that, the great scenery, the great fishery, what you're doing to promote the country, the province, and all other fisheries, from coast to coast. But the fact that you managed to qualify to fish the Elite Series probably has been your dream from day one.
Yeah, 100%. Ever since I started tournament fishing, and ever since I knew what Bassmaster was, I've been wanting to be. It's been a dream of mine since I can't even remember. And it's been a long, very enjoyable ride, and it's crazy. I mean, it's a dream come true, 100%. Get the chills just going down my spine just talking about it, and super thankful that it all worked out.
Now, I know this gentleman here sitting below me has had a small part in it. I know there's quite a few others that I've seen: Dave Chong, Gussie, the Johnsons, Bob Azumi. You go through the list of folks.
Mom and dad.
Mom and dad, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, between my family, my brothers, and all my fishing friends, like when I was younger, I met, and I'm not going to start naming names because there is such a giant list, and I'm super thankful. Growing up, I obviously didn't have a boat when I was super young, and guys like Big Jim, Dave Chong, Mark Hunter, Joe Ford, Dan Risordo, Chris Tosco, like the list goes on. I'm not even going to start naming. Just, I was so lucky growing up having such a great group of friends that, would take me fishing growing up when I didn't have a boat when I was young, fishing the junior and high school program. And yeah, I mean, I'm super thankful for, and that's what's so cool about the whole fishing community. There's so many great people involved in it. And yeah, it's been pretty awesome. And I'm looking forward to coming home and seeing all you guys. I miss everyone back home. I feel like I haven't seen anyone in years.
Well, I'll tell you, we've been proud to just be along for the ride, dude, and watching you blossom into this and great ambassador, as Jay Barnucz has mentioned, for our industry. Truly is testament and our reward. Because as I said, where you have come from, the work you've put in, the time you've put in, and now you've accomplished your dream. And having said all that, I have to say you're probably anxious as heck to get 2023 on the go. And what are you looking forward most to next year?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the whole year. I can't wait. Before I qualified for the elites, as you guys know, I qualified for the classic, and it didn't really hit me because my main goal this year was to make the elites. Like, the classic is unbelievable, but my mind was still set on the elites. And now that I've made it, the classics right now is what I'm looking forward to the most. And then obviously the elites, but the classics finally starting to hit me. The elites quite hasn't hit me just yet. It's starting to sink in once I talk to you guys and friends and family giving me calls. But no, I'm just looking forward to the whole year. It's going to be a very cool experience. I get to fish a lot of new bodies of water again next year that I've never been to. And I love fishing new bodies of water, and I'm going to meet a lot more cool people within the fishing industry. Another one of my favorite things about this game is just meeting people throughout the industry and then learning. I'm going to be learning a lot over the next few years, and I'm looking forward to getting up on stage at Mercer. I've been wanting to for several years, and
You take it away, Jim.
When you get up there. Be careful.
that.
Be careful.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
That's like the cobra in the straw basket. The head comes out and look out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with
name he's gonna give me.
I was just going to say that too, Coop. We got Snow Leopard and everything else. I can't wait to hear what Cooper's nickname's going to be, but it's going to be epic. I'm sure.
Hey, Cooper, are you going to do just the elites next year, or are you going to do other stuff down there too?
I'm thinking about doing some opens for sure. I mean, I'd like to kind of do like the Northern. It's not the Northerns anymore with the new qualification format and all that, but I'd like to do the St. Lawrence and then the other two. We'll see how the schedule lines up. I haven't really had time to sit down and punch everything in my calendar to see if I can do it, but I would still definitely like to try and do a division or even just one for sure.
Awesome.
Jim,
Cool. Hey, I don't know whether you heard us talking just before you went live here. I was telling Scotty about you and Danny when you came over to Big Rito years ago there, and you guys practicing underneath the bridge for two, you know, 2 whole days and things like that. And that to me is like, that's like stuff that you can't make up and will never go away. I hope you remember that until the last cast you ever make in your life, because that's what defined you, doing stuff like that, being dedicated. I've often said to Scotty, when I fished, I was the first boat there, and when I got back at the end of the day, the parking lot was empty and stuff like that. And you have that dedication. You're a multi-species guy, which I don't care what anybody says. Some of the best anglers in the world have been multi-species guys. When you look at the Lindners and you know, like so many of these other guys that are into tournament fishing now, they don't just fish for bass. They do, you know, you see. Well, look at Bernie Schultz. Look at all the saltwater fishing and stuff, just different things. It just makes your brain work different for sure. There's no doubt about that.
It's a great point to bring up. Go ahead, Coop.
No, you go ahead, Scotty.
Well, I was just going to say, like, you know, going through all your videos, and I know Christina and there's a bunch, Keith Duster's here as well. We're just honored to be part of your audience and have these videos available to us. But I was going to ask you on that point, with all the multi-species angling you've done, there's got to be a lot of crossover that you have found with other fish target species that, you know, through your different adventures and different journeys, have you ever been on a lake during a tournament and go, you know what, I might try this when I was, you know, targeting peacock bass or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes here and there. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I think the biggest thing is just being in the water. I think that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what you're fishing for. There's just something to be said, I think, about just being on the water with a fishing rod in your hand, no matter what you're fishing for.
Now, this Elite Series that you are on the brink of engaging in, and I tell you, man, my thoughts are going to be with you the whole time, because I can only imagine how intimidating it will be. Have you had much time on a lot of the waters that you're going to be fishing in the Elite Series?
No, not really. Like I said, I like going to new fisheries. It's my favorite thing to do. I like fishing new bodies of water. So it'll be fun. That's what I'm looking forward to the most is just exploring and learning these different water types.
So on that note then, Jim, you know, is there any advice that you can offer Coop? Obviously we can't talk about details, but when he's going to some of these lakes, what are some of the things that he can look for during the seasons that will help him out?
You know, I think he just has to remain focused.
Yeah.
There's at this point in his career, he's young. His brain is just a sponge. Everything he does, he's collecting. It's still a learning, process. And obviously, he's managing and he's doing it all right. And I think he can only get better. And to achieve this level so early, I think there's a lot of room for growth there, right? Because a lot of these guys fish their whole life. You know, like he said in the beginning here, he mentioned about it was a dream all his life. Now, how many young boys and girls now, too, do you think have the dream to go to the Bassmaster Classic and are never getting there?
Amen. 100%.
He's got it.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said before you came on here, it was never really a goal of mine, because it was really before Canadians got involved in bass fishing in the States. Like, it was just starting, like they used to send a couple of guys down every year, and if there was 50 guys, they'd come 49 to 50, if you know what I mean, because they really didn't know anything about fishing reservoirs and all the other things. And this is where his experience right now is growing by doing this different stuff. So I think he stays honest to himself, and he's got it done, because he's already got some tremendous achievements, and not just in the States, like in Canada here too. I mean, these guys have wound it up a bit. You know, there's no one buts about it, but you know, our heart's with you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. It means the world. It really does. And I just want to say thanks to everyone watching and everyone back home. And that's just supported me over the years, my sponsors. It's you know, I couldn't do without the support from you guys, friends, family, and my sponsors. So I'm super thankful, and dream come true. Now we just got to make sure we catch them.
Amen. Now I have to ask before we go. I know you're busy, Coop, and we really, really appreciate your time. But one question just from the audience. Steve Shaw always has a great question or two. What is the most trusted piece of equipment in your toolbox? Is it the most important to you? Is it electronics? What is that trusted and I can't do without tool?
It would be my engine, 100% Mercury.
Good answer. Good
Without
answer.
the Merc, you ain't going anywhere. 100%
Well, I do
the
remember it was probably
Keeps me
4 or
going.
5 years ago. Moose took me aside and said, "Scotty, this guy's he's going places." Didn't really know who you were at that time. It was a pleasure to meet you then. It's an honor to know you now. But now I know exactly what Moose was talking about. And yeah, your star is rising, dude. So on behalf of
Thanks,
CFN and the entire Canadian fishing community, we salute you, we back you, and we look forward to seeing you achieve even bigger goals and even better dreams.
Thanks, Scotty. Thanks, Big Jim. Means the world, guys.
Chat to you soon, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep in touch.
Right on, buddy. You take care. Stay safe.
Go shave.
Yeah. All right. I think going for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. You take care, Coop. All the best, my friend.
See you guys.
Good. What a great kid, eh?
Dude, just like just a true gentleman. Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I was sitting here looking at him when he was talking. I almost got a tear in my eye because I've seen him come up, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I said all he's got to do now is just stay true to himself, and just, you know, keep doing what you're doing. Work even harder. You know, go even harder at it. Some of these guys, some of these people have no idea. These guys in the elites and that when they've been in it for years, what they do. Remember when we talked about being in the fishing industry, and we've got on some of my old day books that I found.
Yeah.
And when you looked at it, it's like 80 hours a week. People don't realize it.
Yeah.
You know, they, oh yeah, around the boat it's great. You're fishing. Well, you're fishing if it's pouring rain. You're fishing if they don't cancel it and there's 3-foot waves. You're fishing if it's 120 degrees, which they get.
Yeah.
You know, most of the people watching this, if you put them out in a boat in 120 degrees, they wouldn't make the day.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
People don't realize stuff like that. It's not easy. And then they're traveling back and forth across the country.
Yeah.
Like you look at Gussie. I talk to Gussie a lot, and I mean, like he flies home, especially now. He leaves the boat at a buddy's house in a truck because it's cheaper to, plus the time, it's cheaper to fly home, and you get a couple of extra days at home there to stretch your legs and vacuum or whatever you do when you get home. You know what I mean? It's just to be home. That's what they want. They don't want to be in a fancy hotel room.
100%.
That was one of the things that bugged me the most because I came from a job where I really traveled, working for Delta Hotels, and I think I had 1 year with Delta Hotels where I had 102 flights in a year, and I probably slept in a hotel room 250 nights there was one particular year.
Jeez.
Like I lived in the Chelsea in downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
I lived in the Chelsea for months on end when they were doing the Meadow Vale Inn. You know, things like that. You travel back and forth from there to Milton every day.
Yeah. Well, and this is the thing.
It's the same thing fishing.
You take time away from your
Except
family.
I had a paycheck coming.
Well,
you know? The real gravy for these guys is winning.
Yeah.
And that's why with things like the elites, they have that $10,000 payday down to, I think it was 48 this year, but it's usually goes to about 50th depending on how full the field is.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those guys get that $10,000 paycheck, and it's gone before they leave the parking lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And keep enough money to be sure they can get to the next one, have gas and eat. People don't realize it's not all Kevin Van Dam and Ricky Clunn.
Well, even with a Kevin Van Dam or a Cooper Gallant, you know, the amount of time that is spent, as you said, away from your family, the amount of time that has to be invested when it comes to promoting your sponsors. Those are the people that have built your foundation through which you can continue to compete and travel. Again, I can't begin to imagine how busy a Cooper is, or Kevin Van Dam for that matter, after seeing your booklets, after seeing your timetables and calendars. It's just, holy smokes.
See, the most of Cooper's time now would be spent actually driving.
Yeah.
Because of the way he's been fishing as many tournaments as he can.
Yeah. And,
I'm sure he's not at a point yet where he's, financially secure to just do whatever he feels like when he's out there.
Yeah.
That's a long way down the road, boy.
It sure is. Jim, listen, as always, dude, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully you can get back out there. It's not too dark. You can catch something.
Gotta go wash my hands, get the smell of pike off me.
Right on, dude. Well, listen,
Sounds
as
good.
always, yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You as well, buddy. All the best, my friend. And Lawrence Gunther's up next. Here's a word from our sponsor.
When it comes to Canadian food, we've got your back with flavors like lemon pepper, beer batter, campfire barbecue, lemon pepper dill, garlic butter and chives, and crispy Cajun. We've got a mix for every meal. Whether you're serving East Coast shrimp, West Coast salmon, succulent walleye, chicken wings, or veggies, we've got you covered. Coat your food in outdoor flavors. Available online or at these fine retailers.
So, Lawrence, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thanks, buddy. I'm surprised we're both not napping right now.
Well, it's true, man. With the amount of birds that we consumed over this weekend, you are 100% right. And I will say this, just to let everyone know, the feed is still live. I don't know what happened exactly to Facebook, but there was a lot of videos played in there. So who knows? We've got copyright infringements, all kinds of great stuff that I'm going to have to go through later. But Lawrence, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about everything fishing, everything Canadian fishing. And I do want to just touch on this briefly with you, because I know you've probably been spending a little bit of time researching what's been going on. And some of the updates that I've seen, read, received in regards to the walleye scandal. It sounds like charges have been laid, and there's going to be further investigation, probably, I would imagine, some kind of trial. But not to dive too much into it, but this thing just seems to keep growing.
Yeah, it's like, I think I was putting the Bluefish News together, by the way, and it came out this morning. So if you want to read the latest news, sign up or just visit bluefishcanada.ca. And I put an editorial together, much along the lines that we talked about last week, Scotty. About what drives people to cheat and poach. And I just pulled a few examples out, the walleye cheaters and some rockfish poachers on the west coast of Canada, and what motivates them. And I looked at some more historical cases and just put that sort of thought together. So if you want a bigger picture and put it into perspective, but I'm trying to put it in perspective. Then I read this article by the CBC, and they seem to be really into sensationalizing things these days. Right. They found two guys that claim to be fishing tournaments from coast to coast to coast, top tournament anglers in Canada, the best of the best. They never mention what they fish for, or the species they're chasing, or, I never knew there was a nationwide tournament that you could travel all across Canada and do, but these guys seem to be doing it. So they didn't do their fact checking, the reporter, but then they gave these guys airtime to say that the whole competitive fishing industry is ripe with cheating, and that they're speaking out on it because something has to change. Now, I've been fishing tournaments, in Eastern Ontario and Quebec and into the United States. And I follow it. I love fishing tournaments, but there's always people who are going to bend the rules a little bit, but I don't see a lot of people cheating. You don't hear about a lot of people cheating. And if there's any sort of inference of someone even bending the rules a little bit, they're kicked out for life. They're finished, and everyone knows that. It's not endemic. It's not rampant. It's just being blown way out of proportion, and you got to stop fueling that fire.
Yeah, that absolutely. That was another article that unfortunately we saw as well. But it is not something that is rampant because let's face it, look at the repercussions of what's going on. Whether you like this person, you don't like this person, whether they're a good person, they're a bad person, their life is never going to be the same after this. Yes, as Jim said, probably 6 months down the road, we're all going to forget about it. We're going to move on and we're going to have forgotten about it. But until then, there's still a lot of slag still to be slung. And, it's just unfortunate. Every time I see it, it just drags our industry.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I fish so many competitive fishing events now, more for charity, more for fun. And people are just, it's gone to the point like these tournaments, people are just say, hey, like, just send us a picture, put the fish on a measuring board. And they figured out ways just to take the motivation out of the cheater, by having more sort of random prize draws at the end of the event and things like that. Right. So it's not you don't have to be the winner to take it all home. It's just little things that happen, okay. Who has the first fish in the next 10 minutes or something, you can do things like that with these apps now. So there's tons of ways to get around cheaters and surprise them. And if you just structure tournaments right, which so many organizations are, with deterrence and checks and, and in the top cases, you dissect the fish and you do lie detector tests and things. There's not a lot of room for cheating anymore. It's been knocked down. Otherwise, we wouldn't have so many tournaments and so many fun tournaments organized by how many events where it's just one guy just puts together a tournament series, right, and runs it successfully for years.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And it can still continue. Like we as the anglers have to own some of this as well. Not all of us are thinking of cheating or have cheated or even would think of perhaps altering something to better ourselves. I can't speak for everyone. Maybe there are people out there that have no problem doing that, but they're not here. They're not listening to us.
Yeah.
So
cheaters are cheaters, and they cheat at everything and all the time. They just enjoy cheating.
It is what it is. Now on to happier news. Tell us a little bit about some of the new articles that are coming up in Bluefish Canada.
All right, buddy. I got a few here, and you just tell me when to shut up, and we'll move on. But I can go on forever, but I'll try to keep the little summaries here, right? So look, it was Reconciliation Day last week and Thanksgiving this week, and I got to meet this Chief Donald Miracle. He is the chief of the Mohawks of Bay of Quinte. Interesting guy. I met him in 1994 just after he was elected chief. And 28 years ago, and he's still chief, and I'm still doing what I'm doing. And it was interesting to talk to him, so many years later and hear what he has to say about fish and fishing and his people. And he's definitely a little feistier than he was 28 years ago. But probably because not a lot has changed, but they definitely, First Nations people are feeling like they're ready to take on the fight and more now because people are listening and they're starting to feel people are listening and they can air their grievances a little bit and their frustrations and because people are finally listening. So we can give thanks for all the great fish we have and all the great fishing opportunities we have in Canada. That's for sure. And then one thing Chief Miracle said is we just have to learn to share. Just learn to share. That's all he's asking, right?
Yeah,
just learn to
100%,
share.
100%.
Yeah. So that it's good news there, and I included a little bit of the Mohawk prayer at the end of that newsletter. It's really interesting. It's really beautiful how they talk about nature and fish and water and the sun and the moon and all that stuff. So I just took an extract out of that, and I love hearing it because it touches me in all the places I love, like fish and water and the outdoors, right? Oh, yeah. So totally relatable.
That's awesome.
Hey, here's something on boats, buddy. So, we're always thinking doom and gloom, inflation, interest rates going up, boat prices going up. Well, the boat traders did a survey, and they said 40% of boat owners are still looking to sell their boats and buy a bigger one or a better one. So,
really?
Yeah, 40% of boat owners are ready to sell their fishing boats and get into a better boat.
Now, I'm not really all that surprised because let's face it, when we purchase a boat, we're thrilled with it, and then there's that novelty thing. And should I have gotten that extra foot? Should I put that extra 10 horsepower into the engine? What about the electronics? I really should have gone with the 10-inch screen. Like, there's always that muttering around, futtering around, whatever you want to call it, where you're never happy. You always got to upgrade and update.
Yeah. And things get beat up and used up, and they don't last forever unless you're really, 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 really one of those super careful people, right? But then are you actually going fishing, or you just keep it in the garage?
Yeah. No, true enough. 100%. Good point.
Okay. Oh, here's something not so good. So then I always have trouble with this. NOAA. The NOAA. Okay. Type if you guys know what the NOAA is, but everyone's going to Google that.
What is it?
National.
Yes.
National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years to figure that one out. It's a tongue twister. But they're saying the surface temperature of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Canada and the northeast United States, from the surface down to 6,000 feet, has risen 3.6 to 9 degrees this year, the highest ever increase of temperature ever recorded. 3.6 to 9 degrees. So that's Fahrenheit, right? Fahrenheit. This is American.
And it's exactly this kind of statistic that has had everybody so friggin' worried about the hurricane season, is because of this remarkable temperature that they're experiencing down in the Caribbean, down in the Gulf, along the Atlantic current. But surprisingly, I shouldn't say it has not been great, but it has been a lot better than a lot of folks predicted. So interesting to see what's going to happen with that, where fish species are going to start to move and migrate to.
Yeah. I just interviewed my friend, Dr. Chris Harvey Clark at Dalhousie University on the weekend, on Friday, actually. And we're putting that video interview together. And he's got all sorts of photographer. He's just put out his second coffee table book of marine life off the coast of Canada, East Coast Canada. And I asked him, I said, what did Fiona mean for the fish? Like, we know about the damage and the loss of life to people and all that, and the damage to property, the hydro lines. But what about the fish? What's happening underwater to the fish? So I pumped him hard on that. And then he talked about, warming waters and what's changing there. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot happening, and it's not just, the storm and then it goes over and everything's back to normal. No.
Mm-hmm. Good topic to keep up to date. We'll look forward to some future information on that one.
Yeah. So on the West Coast, there's problems as well. Thousands of salmon are dying in some of the rivers in the southern part of British Columbia because of heat. The rivers are drying out, and they're having to move fish from pool to pool manually, physically move them because they can't get from pool to pool, and then the water's so warm that they're just dying. And so there's lots of really strong runs happening in the northern part of the province and different parts of the province where they've done great habitat restoration. But some of these rivers where they haven't done the habitat restoration, they haven't ensured there's good cold water flow and shade along the banks and things like that, and good watersheds. These fish are struggling, and you can't just say, oh, it's climate change, there's nothing we can do about it. No, there's a lot we can do about it. We can put the habitat back the way it was, and they'll do a lot better. And we've got lots of proof of that already popping up all over the place, especially on the West Coast. So there's a lot we can do. And when you read these articles, don't lose hope. That's all I'm saying.
Well, this is it, right? And I think in a lot of cases that restoration that we're talking about, we just haven't gotten to.
Mm-hmm.
With the forest fires that hit that province and continue to hit that province, not to mention, all of the rainfall that they've received, runoff. It's an uphill battle, pardon the pun. Pardon the poor metaphor. It's hard to get caught up when you're dealing with such a vast amount of land and sediment that has moved. Like, where do you move all this stuff to, right?
Yeah, and then avalanches, and then you have more blocked rivers, and and that's a huge cost in getting that fixed up. But you know what? We hear stories, but we're so good at finding the stuff out in real time. We've got eyes and ears everywhere, cameras on everybody. So when these things happen in the outdoors, in the wilderness, it's not just when a tree falls, does it make a sound, right? Oh no, when there's problems, we hear about it now. There's that question no longer exists. So it can be a little overwhelming and a little bit depressing, but we don't hear all the great stories about all the successes. We just don't. And there is lots of great things happening, lots of good, solid things happening. And they're in the newsletter too. I try to always make sure there's a balance there of good news and interesting news and things we should pay attention to. And yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom out there, guys.
Reclamation is definitely a necessity. Yeah, you're 100% sure. That's so true, Steve. Absolutely. We have to take back, reclaim, and restore these lands.
Yeah.
Fisheries can survive.
Yeah, but when you have these heavy rains, you think about it, like there's a report from the Atlantic Salmon Federation. They have their river news, and they're talking about the Miramichi River was up 5 feet from the after the hurricane went through. 5 feet rise in in the river level. That's a sizable chunk, and entire trees floating down the river. So where do the fish go that are thinking about running up the river? They move on. These flows in these when the tides retrieve, these tsunamis retreat, and all this rainwater flows back out. There's a lot of movement, water, a lot of current, and fish don't need to be in that current when there's no place to hide from it, especially when they're staging out at the mouth of the rivers. So they move into deeper water. They move it out into deeper water and wait it out and then come back. So it's interesting though, but it definitely puts them off their game a little bit. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, 100%. What else you got for us?
Okay. Kingston is the first city in North America to release or open up a charge station for electric boats. So get your Tesla boat, guys. Put in your order for your Tesla boat. We've got somewhere where we can charge it up now.
Really? Kingston? Wow.
Yeah,
I wouldn't imagine that it would be that difficult to hook up or at least make available to boaters. But Kingston, thanks for putting us on the map.
Just don't fall in the water when you're holding that old fill cable, eh?
Yeah.
Sparkle.
About that. No kidding.
Yeah, you're dealing with a lot of electricity and water, and those things go together. It's like lightning.
I wonder how much that's going to catch on.
Electric
obviously
boats?
we could sit back and we could say, well, they exist. I mean, we've had electric motors for a long time. What's on the front of your boat, Scotty? I mean, you're right, 100%. But what's on the back of the boat? Not one of those motors. So it'd be interesting to see. I know, was it Johnson that came out with the first one? The first?
Mercury is making electric race motors now for their race boats. Yeah. Okay. They're out there, and Bombardier said to be doing that as well, coming out with some electric motors as well for all their pleasure craft and all their pleasure toys. So it's coming. There's you can buy on a 16-foot tracker aluminum bass boat from Bass Pro Shop. You can order that with a 25 or 50 horsepower electric motor. 25, you get the one battery pack. 50 if you get the 2 battery packs, and then they say you can fish a day's tournament with that. With the 50, with the 17-foot tracker and the 50 horsepower electric motor, you can fish a day's tournament.
Now, this is just me thinking outside of the box, and I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything, but of course, boat fires, I don't want to say all of them, but a good majority of them start from electronics. Usually it's something that is, cross-circuiting, whatever. We got bared wires. To me, putting even more hydro in a boat seems off the beaten trail. And I think, including myself, folks are going to have to warm up to that idea if, in fact, this becomes technology that we're going to use in our industry. I mean, it's great to come out with it first and have it available, but are we actually going to use it?
Those lithium batteries, when they catch fire, man, you can't put those out with a hose, right? They burn hot. That's why these ships that transport newly built cars from one country to another, they're catching fire and they're sinking. There was one not so long ago of $400 million worth of luxury electric automobiles sank to the bottom of the ocean. They caught fire. They couldn't put it out. Just couldn't put it out. But they say when these big giant lithium batteries, and there's a lot on an electric car, there's a lot of them. And when they catch fire, that's intense.
Well, my hope is that we don't hear about any of these kind of instances, but I'm sure they said the same thing about gas-powered engines when they first were introduced.
Yeah.
Why would you want to put gas on that just seems like crazy.
Yeah, it seems crazy.
Anyway, regardless of that, I think that kind of technology has found a niche in our world throughout the globe. I don't know. I don't. It's unfounded, and I'm looking for more information to sort of make me buy into the idea.
On the topic of feasting and food, a new study just came out in the United States. It says 50% of the seafood harvested in the United States goes to waste. Now, I know that's not, it seems extreme, but even in Canada here, 40% of the food that's grown and produced in Canada ends up being wasted. And most of that is in our own fridges, right? When you throw the stuff out, it's unused food. That's where the vast majority of that 40% comes from. But this is 500 million pounds of seafood that's tossed out every year. 500 million pounds. That's a significant amount of seafood.
That is way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah. And that doesn't even include the bycatch, right? The fish that they're not allowed to harvest that they have to throw back, and they're usually mostly always dead.
I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks this, but when you see these live fish markets and these fish are all lying all over the floor, not all of them are bought. And this is exactly what I think of. And I'm sure you're the same as me, Lawrence.
Yeah.
That's exactly where my head goes is, okay, this is great that, our oceans, our lakes, whatever, are able to produce this kind of catch for our markets and the people globally.
Mm-hmm.
But how much of this is actually getting eaten and how much at the end of the day is being thrown away?
Yeah. Yeah. And how much are we bringing home and putting on our freezers and throwing out 6 months later when it's freezer burn, right?
Amen.
I mean, there's that too. We got to take some personal responsibility for this, because a lot of this is about, our own choices when we fill up the freezer and we don't use it, or,
it's going to be even harder to navigate going forward too with food prices. I mean, let's face it, sales shopping is going to become, not just it's not going to be a fad. It's going to be a necessity. That folks are going to have to wait for things to go on sale to purchase, say, meat or fish or any of that. So when it comes to storing food for the future and making sure that we're, staying within our budgets, this is going to be a tough line to walk on.
Yeah. Well, Oceana Canada is holding a Rebuilding Abundance. It's a one-day conference here in Ottawa on October 26th. They're bringing all the policy people together, all the stakeholders together, and they're going to have a conversation on how do we restore our oceans to healthy levels so that there's abundant seafood for everybody. I'm going. I've registered for that. So I know the CEO of Oceana and their head researcher. I've had them on Bluefish Canada before. And these are the guys. These are the watchdogs of the seafood industry on Oceana Canada. There's an Oceana in the United States that looks after the United States, and we have our own here up here in Canada. They're the ones keep holding the feet to the fire of the DFO to make sure they don't screw things up.
Well, so, when is this again?
October 26th.
We will look forward to that report, Lawrence. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get there, but I would like to hear what they have to say.
Sounds good, buddy. I'll keep you posted.
Right on, my friend.
Okay, I got two things left.
Okay, run with it.
So commercial salmon fishers are going to have a license buyback on the West Coast. So there's one way of dealing with overfishing, right? Just buy their licenses back and take them out of circulation. But face it, every big developed country in the world probably has more fishing fleet than we know what to do with. They say there's probably 2/3 of the fishing fleet around the world is redundant. We can harvest everything we need with 1/3 of what we got in terms of boats and ships and licenses and things. So that a buyback isn't a bad thing. And
just who's paying for the buyback?
Oh, you and me, buddy. You and me.
So that's the bad thing.
Yeah.
There's the bad thing right there.
You and me are going to pay those fishermen to go and retire early. Are they really going to be able to retire what they get? I doubt it, but who knows? They were saying, what does that mean? Like, show us the money. They haven't been given any details yet. Last thing. Oh, okay. So where are invasive jellyfish showing up?
Don't say Lake Michigan.
Close.
Are you serious?
North. Sudbury. Sudbury. They're freshwater invasive jellyfish. They've been in the Great Lakes they've been in North America for 70 years. 70 years. And now they just showed up in Sudbury.
Well, that's got to
invasive,
be a good thing, no?
invasive freshwater jellyfish. Well, you can eat them. The jelly, it's a source of protein.
No, but I'm thinking more so for like water quality, like
Oh
jellyfish.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, it's
maybe.
obviously not good for an invasive species to take on, home in an area that's not considered they're native to them. But I'm just thinking from a water quality, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Whether life is flourishing,
Yeah.
we're going to be eating a lot of jellies at some point. Our great grandchildren might be eating jellies, because they're abundant like crazy. It's a protein and easily harvestable. So yeah, it's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Hey,
it was squid. I'd much prefer squid, but that's just me.
those octopus. Hey, guess where I'm going this Friday? What I'm doing this Friday?
You're going to tell us.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. So I did a podcast. My wife said it was a few years ago with Adrian Smith from what the hell's the name of that rock and roll band from the UK?
Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah, baby.
So now they've announced their tour schedule that they're coming to Ottawa. They announced that a half a year ago. So people tell me, "Hey, Lawrence, you know Adrian Smith? You think he gonna get some tickets?" So, anyways, I sent him an email. I say, "Man, you coming? I'd love to meet you." And so he called me a couple times on the weekend. He said, "Lawrence, I'd like to go fishing with you on Friday. Could that happen? Can we go fishing Friday?" So I'm going to take him fishing.
That's awesome.
We're going to go muskie fishing. He said, "I got no muskie gear. I got no raincoat. I've got no warm clothing. Should I go buy some?" I said, "No, man. How tall are you?"
He's not that tall, I don't believe.
5'10".
Oh, so he's my height. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so tall. Steve has a question back on the jellyfish topic.
Yeah.
Don't the jellies deplete the water of oxygen?
I don't know. Are they oxygen eaters? Like are they an animal that needs oxygen, or is it a plant that eats carbon? I have no idea. That's a good question, Steve.
You know what? We'll have to save this for our next our guest, Jay Barnucz. I'm sure he has an answer.
Yes.
But before that,
kick it over to Jason.
Yeah, we'll kick it over to Jay. But before that, Lawrence, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for joining us. As you do each and every Monday, it means the world for you to take the time to spend with our community, my friend.
Oh, thanks for having me, Scotty. Keep up the great work, and thanks everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, we will certainly try. And on that note, Jay Barnucz is up next with an answer to the jellyfish question, as well as many others. Stay tuned for that.
Want to know the difference between power bait and other soft plastics? Ask the fish. Berkeley scientists have thousands of flavors tested on thousands of fish. Natural, man-made. Every bait that's ever hit the water. No matter the shape, size, or color, power bait is the only one that is scientifically proven. Fish bite and will not let go.
How you doing, Jay? Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Looks like we've only got 5. I don't know what's going on with Facebook, but ever since this man, and I got to thank Steve Shaw for doing up the edit for this, but ever since this man donned our stage and has left, he took the audience with him.
Coop. Always messing things up, Coop. That's all right.
CFN killer. He's a CFN killer right there. No, I'm just kidding. But
that's funny.
Love seeing these edits. Steve, Walter, keep up the great work, guys. It's just
absolutely.
Speaking of edits and fish, you just got back yourself.
Oh yeah, we let's see if I can share this.
Well, I have to ask you straight up: the jellyfish, do they deplete oxygen from a body of water?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Yeah, I didn't know the answer to that.
No.
Steve, you got to stump, man. I don't know. That's a great question.
So is my fish up there?
Oh, you look at you being resourceful. Yeah, baby.
I actually catch a fish. So this weekend, well, hey, dude, we went through a weather change on Friday. It went from nice 17, 18 degrees last week to 20. Sorry, other way. 10 Friday and high winds Friday, Saturday. Talked about going Sunday. And I said, look, let's just go Monday. The weather looks great. Went out today. This is on Lake Erie, out towards between Port Dover and Port Maitland on that section.
Gotcha.
So Trevor and I went out there, and we've been fishing. The trouble with kayak fishing on Lake Erie is it's big. Where do you go? And like,
yeah,
I've talked last couple weeks about how far I've gone in the kayak. I don't purposely want to go like 10 miles in a kayak. I try to get the point of least resistance, if you know what I'm saying, path of least resistance. So, we do a lot of map study, breaking down the lake, trying to find spots that are within a kilometer or two of an access point. And then tons of graphing, man. We're out there. It's no different than anyone in a regular boat. Got to cover some ground, got to map it out. So we've been working since August on mapping out rock piles in those areas. And it really paid off today. Didn't break 20 inches. This one was just shy of 20. That was about 19 and a half inches long. Got a quick measurement on it. Pretty chunk. So probably pushing 4.3/4 pounds. Got 12 today. My best 5 probably would have been around 20 pounds, 18 pounds, something like that. So I was happy with that. But man, I sent you some videos. It got rough. It got rough at the end of the day. You'll like in my pictures, you'll see I'm wearing my PFD. In fact, I wear that PFD all summer long. Like even on the hottest days, I don't know, man. I'm just used to it for work, I guess. People complain about the PFDs, but my kayaking PFD actually has pockets and accessories, and I got my snips and and actually you'll see in those pictures too, I have a waterproof radio that Trevor and I can communicate with. So anyways, we had a good day of fishing. We only fished for, honestly, I think 3 hours. And then we finally pulled the plug because it was just getting too rough. So, and coming in was a little touch and go. But yeah, we had a good day. And this time of year, and I don't care whether you're kayak fishing or boat fishing, like you got to get out, but it's hard. The weather's so unpredictable. Every day is going to get windier this happens as we progress deeper into the fall. The average winds each day increases, right? So windy days, it's hard to get out. But the water temps are great. It's cold. You'll see in those pictures I was actually wearing my waders, the same waders I steelhead fish, my Hodgman Gore-Tex waders, my wading boots, because it was 57 degrees of water temperature. So when you're putting in the lake now, I'm not wearing my Keens anymore. Like I want to keep warm and dry. So I got my wading jacket and and the waders on. So dude, good waders are just like big rain pants, right? It's easy to get around in them. So, but we are careful. Like this time of year, man, you got to be careful with that weather and keep an eye on it. And I was a little disappointed in myself as long as the way the wind turned today. I'm usually much better at guessing that wind, but even myself, I spend 100 days a year, 150 days a year on the water, and I kind of miscalculated today. So, but we're all good. Everything worked out just fine. And it was good for Trevor, honestly, for Trevor to get out and with Dad and be in some weather like that, because he's such a keen angler and understand that if you're going to go out in some of these elements, know what to do. So we talked a lot today about how to handle the waves. Don't cut into them too much. Try and ride, literally, just like in a boat, we're riding the troughs, right? Like, you're going to go so far and then turn. Like sometimes going straight in is the worst thing you can do in a boat, right, Scotty? So we want to ride those waves and take our time and don't get caught between the troughs too much, kind of so that the wave will come over the side of the kayak. We want to kind of ride those waves. So definitely just one of those, it was a good learning experience. It wasn't dangerous today, but definitely had to keep focused while you're out there. So no 14-year-old was sitting on his phone today watching TikTok. That did not happen today. So
no, and I would probably it would be fair of me to suggest that you would also mention that it would be good practice probably at this stage of the year and on the eve of winter that survival suits are almost becoming imperative if you're out there on the kayaks on that big water.
Yeah, and definitely too, like I think that we'll share this in the next week or two, but there's some sort of formulas you can calculate about exposure based on water temperature. And we'll talk about that coming up because we're getting that time of year. And I want to mention this too, and this is fishing related, but on kind of opposite spectrum. But I really feel bad for our salmon and trout colleagues right now. You know, our buddies and guys and girls who are out there fishing for salmon or trying to, and there's just no rain. There's no water. And, you know, there's people out there that are really, I want to say mocking or chastising folks because they're seeing pictures of people standing in a low credit river or a low Bronte Creek. You know what? Season's open. Let them fish. You know, don't be so hard on them. Some of these people, some of my buddies, all they want to do, Scotty, is fish for steelhead.
Yeah.
That's their passion. That's their angling outlet. And, you know, we're getting into the middle of October now, and it doesn't look like we're going to see any amount of rain for the next week or two, which is shocking. Usually this time of year, we're getting some of those tropical storms bringing us some rain from the south. And all those storms are swinging out to the coasts.
Yeah.
And we're just not getting that rain here. So yeah, I feel for them. So let's not give them a hard time. No one wants to stand shoulder to shoulder in a gin clear pool full of Chinooks, that's for sure. But you know, let's not make them feel bad for doing that because it's their privilege to go do that and enjoy it. So
Jay, I know you and I have talked about this at great length, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. But it seems like the industry and maybe some of our angling communities, it's not as friendly as it used to be, and I'm hoping we can get back to that because it's astonishing lately to see how bad people can treat one another. So anyway, I'm glad you brought that up.
There's a comment from Steve about wind and yeah, like so on my kayak, I run a Garmin 95 EchoMap SV, so it's got side scan, down scan, or side view. I'll use proper Garmin terminology. Side view, clear view, and 2D sonar. And honestly, the area that I was fishing today was an area I literally mapped this area. I checked my waypoints. August 27th, I mapped 4 rock piles in 12 to 9 feet of water in an area probably about an acre of the lake. And there was just a lot of chunk rock in this area. And on that day, Scotty, I didn't catch a fish off those rock piles.
Wow.
On August 27th. Didn't catch a fish, but I marked them, went over them with my side scan, go into another area, saw them, dropped some waypoints. And then today, the way the wind was blowing into shore, so coming from the south, and I just took my Doss King kayak and kind of pointed into the wind, and I just kind of like, I was more or less drifting. It was too rough to hold, but I would use the pedals to slow me down, and I had my waypoints. And as I was drifting, I could just back pedal or forward pedal, and I would just line myself up with my waypoint, and I'm literally just watching my screen like this, and I'm just like, oh yeah, okay. And then you would, and they weren't hitting it hard. That was the trouble today. I think Trevor had a hard time with it because it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going up and down. So you got to maintain that bottom contact, but definitely having a good rod. And they weren't, what was happening was they weren't actually hitting it. They were coming up, mouthing it, and then they would swim along with it. Like, so you would just, it would feel spongy. And I lost a couple because I would just like, oh, there's one, but I would, he or she had already dropped it, right? They would swim along with it, and you just have to like set as hard as you could to bury that hook. But all of them were the ones I got the hooks into. They were hooked perfectly in the roof of the mouth, like just perfect drop shot fish. And it's funny because I took out like 5 other rods. I swim bait, jerk bait, and I was one rod Todd today, man. It was just so rough that I couldn't pinpoint to cast with my lures, my horizontal lures, right? So because I'm like, I want to cast a swim bait to that rock pile, but the wind was moving around, so it's easier just to drift and let it drag. So yeah, it was just a productive day and a nice short day. And like you said, I texted you today, and it was just nice to be out and enjoying this weather, man.
Because as we saw, and if you've been looking at the forecast for this week coming, it is starting to drop off dramatically. And you know, as much as I love the fall, I do kind of hate that when you see, you know, the 22s, the 21s, and then all of a sudden it's nothing but single digits for the rest of the week.
Yeah. And the water temps too. So like, you know, Erie's, so we were pretty close to shore, obviously. being in, a dozen feet of water, 12, 14 feet of water. But it was 57, and we're going to see fall turnover pretty quick. Usually that happens when it's in the 50s and you get a good wind. So, I'm going to guess, and this is down where I am, down here in the tropics, right? So I'm going to guess that some of the lakes, like Central Ontario, some of the lakes don't really flip because they're so shallow, but I think some of the lakes that stratify is the lakes that flip, right? So if you have a lake that's basically has 30 feet or deeper of water, there will be a thermocline, and those lakes will flip in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And what happens then is the fish can scatter.
Yeah.
Like they could be deep, they could be shallow. But, bass fishing and walleye fishing, muskie fishing, it's great is when the water temp's in the 50s. You start getting into the 40s, now you start getting into, you got to slow down a bit. Some fish continue to bite really well, but the bass bite kind of drops off a little bit. In terms of really active fish, you can still catch them, but usually on slower presentations. Walleye and muskie tend to be a little more loving of that cooler water, so they'll be a little more aggressive. But yeah, we're going through some big changes in the next week. So but we still got to get out there and fish, right, Scotty?
And speaking of fishing and kayak fishing, namely, in Steve Shaw fashion, I'll ask you this: when it comes to your kayak, and we've talked a lot about the safety features that you bring out with you, but what is one thing that's on your kayak, or perhaps maybe you don't have it on your kayak that you wish you did, that you couldn't really do without?
Oh, geez. It's amazing how much my electronics, man, I'm just hooked on my electronics.
Yep.
Even as little as, even in shallow lakes, like just knowing this time of year, water temperature. So, I'm fishing a local inland lake that I fished 1,000 times, since my teens. And Scotty, I went there the other day and Trevor didn't have his, sonar because these places are like 3 to 7 feet deep on average. Like you're not using it to find even the weeds and stuff. Like you kind of know where the weed beds are. Like we fished there 1,000 times, but what is the water temperature? Just knowing the water temperature this time of year can be almost as informative to us as where's that rock pile? Where's that weed line? I think that is super important. And probably the next greatest thing that I have is, and one thing I think everyone should use is on their kayaks is a flag. I have a signal flag on the back, and it actually breaks down. The bag that it goes into, it's a Yak Attack flag. The bag that it goes into is orange. The actual bag is the flag. So you pull this thing out, and it's all bungee corded like a tent pole together. And I have a bracket in the rear of my kayak, and I put that on because sometimes when you're on these bigger lakes, we're out there with boats, like bass boats zipping around us and stuff, and being visible, and there's a light on top. So if we were to get into trouble or out a little bit late, there is a safety light on there. So, and again, those waterproof radios, we use them all the time fishing.
Yeah.
And I think they're great for a good waterproof radio. Is good. Like the ones we have, they're just Amazon. They float. They have a little safety light. You can use them as a flashlight on the bottom. They're lithium batteries. You charge them up, they'll last pretty much a whole day. I recommend those for everybody, for all fishing. We take them stream fishing. We take them in boats, take them in kayaks. If we're going with buddies in another boat, you don't need to use your cell phone. You can just use the radio. Right. So great tool to have. Especially on actually, and I want to say this again, especially stream fishing, steelheading. We go out to a property, a bunch of us, we might split up in different areas. What is someone catching? What if you got one? And sometimes cell reception is not the best where we're out in these remote areas. So a good waterproof radio is a great tool.
Speaking of that, obviously with steelhead upon us, and in some cases it's open for some. We might want to revisit those 4 segments that we did and repost those in the upcoming weeks. Leading up to, maybe November, Christmas, what have you. We'll play those and make sure that they're available for folks. Because there was a lot of information. Randy was there, Ed was there, you were there. We had Mark Albeck. there was a bunch of folks that joined in. John was a guest. Some really cool information was shared, and we might want to revisit that. But in the meantime, your transition, is it much like the weather? Are you now going to migrate away from the kayak and get ready for steelhead? What's your plan?
I would love to just, if it poured rain this week, dude, I'd be out steelheading this week. So kayak fishing, it's so hard right now with the winds. Where I want to go is going to be too windy all the time. So I'm praying we get some good wind. I'm looking at the long range forecast and I'm not feeling good about it. And the temperatures got to be safe, right? So I'd like to get out and do some more kayak fishing, but I think steelheading's on the radar. So we'll see, man. But like you said, the temperatures are really dropping right now, and we are really in a serious transition right now. So
it's unfortunate, but fall is upon us, and tomorrow is the last chance, I think, in this area anyway. I don't know what others are experiencing out their way. I saw Walter and Taylor out in the water out in Saskatchewan. Lots of CFNers out fishing. It's great to see, and probably cash in on that last bit of good weather that we were having, because after that, it's just single digits. So winter is just around the corner, unfortunately.
Yeah, and actually, I was just chatting with the Pilatas about the upcoming ice fishing show. Can you believe that? Ice fishing show, dude, in 6 weeks.
I know.
So I got seminars on my brain right now. So ice fishing seminar. Oh my god, that's
awesome! Right on.
So before I close out, I got a guest here that wants to come in and just say hello.
Happy
Steph.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
She wants to say happy Thanksgiving
and happy belated birthday, Scotty.
Oh yes.
I hope you saw. I played your video at the beginning, Steph, of all the beautiful birthday wishes I got. Your family's was clearly the best, and I appreciate that.
We didn't have a formal dinner this year. We're going to go see Heather's brother in a couple of weeks, and but I got to say this: to come home today from fishing, and Stephanie with my mom today, and my niece and my nephews, they made schnitzel today and apple pie, dude. I came home to schnitzel and apple pie today after fishing.
We're not worthy.
I haven't had the pie. I had schnitzel before the call, but I'm going upstairs to heat up a piece of pie before I go to bed. Absolutely.
Please do, my friend. You've earned it. Steph, you as well. And enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving. And as
thanks,
always,
everybody.
Thanks for coming here every Monday and doing this with us, bud. Peace. All righty. Well, we are almost at the end of our segment. Last but not least, of course, if you were watching in the very beginning, we have to do our Flash Boost giveaway. And if you don't know what Flash Boost is, or maybe you can't say it like I can, have a quick look at this. So there it is, Flash Boost, and that technology that, of course, is truly something else. And Steve Shaw loves it. There's a lot of you that love that Shimano Flash Boost technology. And Steve has gone above and beyond as always and wants to give it away to one of you lucky winners. And all you had to do last week was hashtag Shimano Rules. That was basically what you had to post. Hashtag Shimano Rules in the comments. We're going to be doing stuff like this in the future going forward. So stay tuned to that. Lots of really cool things that are coming up in terms of prizes and what's going to be available to our community. So stay tuned to that. But in the meantime, thanks for all who did participate and enter, and for all 2 of you who are watching, because obviously we have been kicked off Facebook and are relying on our YouTube channels to keep us going. Again, thanks so much for Cooper Gallant, who joined us today. Can't thank him enough for taking time to share with our community and allow us to, give him a pat on the back and a big shout out. He does some wonderful stuff for this community and continues to be a remarkable ambassador for our industry. And of course, Jim Lawrence and Jay Barnucz, can't thank them enough. So without further delay, let's get to it. Last angler standing. Let's ask one of the two individuals. You know it's real now. Whoever is watching, I need a number between 1 and 5. Tony's still with us. Yeah, Tony, you're in there. So a number between 1 and 5, and that's how many times we are going to shuffle the deck. First one to post up a number between 1 and 5. Let's have it. There you go, Tony, with number 5. All right, so we are going to shuffle 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as always, it's the last angler standing. Great prop in the background there. Walter's wonderful edit. Let's have a go at it. Let's get down to the last angler and find out who is going to take this flash boost away. Carrie Paquette, it is not going to be you. Thanks for playing, though, my friend. We still have a bunch of others still on the wheel. And, of course, if you were close, because it is Thanksgiving, we allowed you. Oh, look at that. Holy smokes. I thought that was going to be classic. Sorry, Scott. All right. Even if you were a little bit close, Steve and I agreed. Let's let everybody get a chance to win. So we did that. Good luck to all. Exactly, Steve. Eve. Oh, sorry, Eve. I apologize for that. But again, thanks so much for playing. Still a bunch of names on the wheel. Oh, now it's going to be Klassen. Holy smokes. All right. Sorry for that, Klassen. Thanks so much for playing. We still got a bunch of names, some regulars on here, and some new names, which is kind of nice to see. And is it now? Jeanette really wanted one. I think this was one of the real reasons we were doing this, Steve, was for Jeanette. And unfortunately, she did not win. So let's keep going. We have a bunch of other names that are still on the wheel, still worthy to win. Oh, Sonia, no. My apologies, Sonia. Thanks so much for playing. We continue on. We got to get down to the last name. And it is a big wheel, lots of names. Thanks, Steve, for divvying up this flash boost. It has certainly spawned on some interest. Lloyd, unfortunately, it's not you. Thanks for all your sharing, by the way, Lloyd. Really appreciate what you do for our community. Keep up the great work, my friend. Yeah, good luck to all, as Steve says. It is not going to be Sally Mitchell. That would have been my money. Still some big names. There's Richard, there's Tony that win a lot, Bill Landry. But lo and behold, it is not going to be Richard Dunlop. So the names are starting to fall. We still have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 names on the board. It is not going to be Terry Snyder. Thanks so much for playing, Terry, and all you do as a legacy member of CFN. Keep up the great work. Happy Thanksgiving to the Snyder family. Hope all is well out that way, out the Cornwall way. It is not going to be Mike Hurtle Sr. either. Holy smokes. We're getting through all these names. What we got left? 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 names left. And is it not going to be Jimmer? Sorry, Jimmer. My apologies. Thanks so much for participating and playing. Unfortunately, hopefully it'll be next time for you. Is it possible? Is it? That can't be true. Tony Szanowski removed from the wheel. Sorry, Tony. Thanks for playing. Thanks for participating. And I want to wish you good luck next time, my friend. Barry Trache. Holy smoke. So does that take care of most of the Timmins connection? It does, in fact. Yes, it does. So we've got 2, 4, 5 names left. We got Mitch, Bill, Mark, Mad Cam, and Tammy Lynn. And it is not going to be A-Rod and the Mad Cam Plastics family. 4 names left. Mitch, Bill, Mark, and Tammy. Who is it going to be? It is not going to be Mitch. Thanks for participating, Mitch. Sorry, bud. Hopefully next time. We still have 3 names on the wheel. Bill Landry, Mark Flintoff, and Tammy Lynn. Let's see. Last angler standing. Who's going to take home the flash boost? Oh, Tammy. I was really kind of hoping it was going to be you. Sorry, Tammy. Thanks for participating. It's Bill and Mark. It's neck and neck. last one standing is our winner. So whoever gets chosen here is the runner-up. Bill could possibly be the winner, or our buddy Mark. Who's it going to be? It is not going to be Holy Smokes. It's Bill Landry. And there's your winner, Bill Landry. Congratulations, my friend. Thanks so much for participating. And I will be in touch to get your address to make sure we can get your prize out to you. Thanks again to our beloved Steve Shaw for offering up this great prize pack. We will be doing it again with other really cool things that are going to be going on in CFN land. And hopefully one of these days we can get Facebook to hold our feed so that we don't lose 90% of our audience. Until then, until we get all those bugs figured out, hope you all have a great Thanksgiving dinner. If you're sitting down right now enjoying a feast, I wish you and your family all the best in the rest of 2022 and what's upcoming in 2023. I know Cooper Gallant is looking forward to 2023 and, of course, the Classic and everything that's going on in Cooper Gallant fishing and his world. Again, thanks for all your time. Love you guys all. And I hope all of you are safe and enjoy a nice short week. I can't think of anybody better to take us out at this moment. So I will leave it there. Thank all of you for joining us. Dave Mercer, take us away, my friend.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.